Hey everyone, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger bringing you the one and only Keto Without the Crazy. Just a quick reminder that if you like Keto Without the Crazy, we have merch. We have coffee mugs, we have tote bags, sweatshirts, t-shirts, tumbler type glasses, all with the Keto Without the Crazy logo. Not all black. You get to choose your own color, whatever you like. Check out the merch store. There's a link in the notes. Okay, on to the topic. I did a video recently for those of you who consider yourselves to be emotional eaters and why classifying yourself that way and keeping yourself boxed into that identity is holding you back from getting the best result and the results you want from a low carb or ketogenic diet. So, those of you who consider yourselves to be members of the Clean Plate Club, I'm coming for you today. This one is for you. It's also for people in a very different situation, people who grew up with food scarcity, people who did not always have abundant food on the table, people who didn't know where or when their next meal would be coming. And having grown up in that type of environment of food scarcity has conditioned some of your eating behaviors and your thoughts around food now. So I'll be addressing two very different issues here, the Clean Plate Club and the food scarcity. But the reason I'm combining them into one video is because they both are absolutely rooted in, just like with the I'm an emotional eater concept, these two things are rooted in telling yourself a story that may have been true at one time, but do you still want it to be true? That classifying yourself this way is keeping you stuck in these old patterns, these old, like worn out, Groundhog Day, same old thing, and it is putting up an obstacle. And if we want to remove the obstacle and get the results we want and finally break free of some of these really old patterns and old worn out stories that are not serving us, then we need to learn to think differently. I'm constantly saying, and I said it in that video about the emotional eater thing, we don't need another food list. We don't need another set of rules. We don't need another program. We don't need another protocol. We need to free ourselves from the things that are getting in the way of doing what we already know would work if we could just get ourselves to do it. And really the key to that is rewriting these old, stale, worn out, unhelpful stories. So let me start with, there's so much to say about both. I will start with the food scarcity issue. And let me say right off the bat here that if you currently tend to overeat, or maybe eat certain specific foods, because maybe when you were a kid you were never allowed to eat a certain type of food, that now you just gravitate toward that stuff now, or maybe it was a quantity thing, you never got enough, whether it was because your family was couldn't afford to buy enough food, or I guess it's kind of the same as not being able to afford. Maybe you had a really large family and everyone got fed every day, but maybe you kind of only got a little bit because whatever food your family could afford had to stretch to 6-8 people, whatever. So if you grew up in an environment where you did not get enough to eat, or it was never really certain and secure that there would be dinner on any given night, or where am I going to eat, I want you to give yourself the grace of understanding that it is so normal. It is so 100% normal for you to seek overeating, for you to gravitate towards certain types of foods that maybe were restricted from you. You know, maybe you had lots of food growing up, but maybe you were the chubby one in the family, and so mom said, oh, you can't have that. Your brothers and sisters can have that, but you're not allowed to have that. They can have the cheesecake, you have to have carrot sticks. Listen, people grow up in some whacked out families, right? So it's possible that you had plenty of food, but you didn't have the particular food you wanted. So whatever the situation was, it is entirely understandable that you're now going like the opposite way. You always want to make sure there's more than enough food. You better eat enough food at every meal because you don't know when the next meal is coming, or I'm going to get that thing because I can, and no one can tell me that I'm not allowed to have it anymore. Okay, so we can acknowledge that these behaviors are so completely understandable if you grew up in that type of atmosphere. Of course you overeat now. Of course you gravitate toward those foods. Why wouldn't you? So the first thing we need to get rid of is any shame, any embarrassment, any little whiff of you feeling like you're broken or there's something wrong with you. Who wouldn't have those type of behaviors, having grown up and having had basically your food life, your food mindset conditioned in that environment? Of course you do this stuff, sure. But do you want to keep doing it? Do you want to continue to live those behaviors when you know they're not working? I have a tiny bit of notes. Let me see here. So you have to start telling yourself a new story. And it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, at this point, this might be the first time you're hearing about this concept. But you have to start chipping away at that old identity, those old worn out patterns. You have to start at least being open to the possibility that you could think differently and act differently. And you have to start telling yourself things like, and I hate that I said that you have to start, no, you don't have to do anything. One potential helpful move for you could be that you start thinking, I'm in charge now. I get to buy the food. No one is taking food away from me. I get to eat whenever I want to. Now, barring any like work situation, like if you're a brain surgeon and you're in the OR, you probably can't, eat like right then. You know what I mean, within reason. I can eat anytime I want. I'm assuming hopefully you are at liberty financially to go to the store anytime you want. And maybe you're not getting ribeye steaks and lobster tail and filet mignon, but maybe you can get some kind of food anytime you want. You can go buy meat. Even with the prices today, you can afford some kind of piece of meat, right? So you get to say something to yourself like, I'm in charge now. I can buy food anytime I want. I can buy as much food as I want. I get to eat for as long as I want. If I want to sit at the table for an hour, nobody's rushing me. What else do I have here? You could, something else to tell yourself if it's applicable, if you have a pantry stocked with some stuff, if you have lots of things in the freezer. I mean, I live alone and my freezer is still kind of stocked. I buy stuff on sale and then I just kind of work through it. So if there's plenty of things in your fridge, plenty of things in the freezer, you can tell yourself something like, I no longer need to worry that I'll run out of food. I no longer need to be scared that there won't be enough. I have plenty. I don't need to worry that there won't be food for me tomorrow. Whatever resonates with you, whatever may be applicable to sort of undo or start unraveling the story that you've been telling yourself based on your own personal experience. Find something that's unique to you that resonates, that will help you move forward. So let me see. All right. I hope that's helpful. I kind of think, you can say, I have more than enough food now. I have more food than I need. There's plenty. I don't need to worry about food right now. So, all right. Let's move on to the Clean Plate Club. So some of you of a certain age, and maybe even now, some people raise their kids this way, I don't know, you grew up with well-meaning parents. They didn't know they were instilling a ton of stuff in you, but you had well-meaning parents who encouraged you to eat everything on your plate. Maybe they even forced you to eat everything on your plate because, like, hey, little Billy, little Sally, you're not getting dessert unless you finish everything on your plate. So even if you weren't hungry anymore, you may have forced yourself to finish just because you wanted the ice cream bar or you wanted the piece, the cookie, whatever it was. So, but more than likely, the Clean Plate Club comes from, again, a well-meaning parent. There are starving children in Africa. You're blessed to have this food. You better finish it all. There's starving kids in X third world country. Never mind the fact that you finishing your dinner in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or in Peoria, Illinois, is not going to help a starving child halfway across the globe. It's just not gonna happen. Your eating habits have nothing to do with somebody else's 5,000 miles away. But that's how you grew up. You grew up where you are served a portion and you eat whatever it is. Small portion, giant portion, you're finishing it and the plate is going to be clean. So you may have also been told not to waste food, right? So you've been conditioned that throwing food away is wasteful. So I'm looking at my notes here, everybody. Again, okay, yeah, if that's how you were conditioned as a kid, well, no wonder you clean the plate now. No wonder you feel uncomfortable scraping leftover food into the trash. Of course, like, this makes perfect sense. Again, we don't have to beat ourselves up. We don't have to feel bad for human behavior that is perfectly, completely natural and understandable under the circumstances. But yet again, just like the food scarcity thing, we've got to find a way to get out of this pattern, because thinking this way is not helping you. It is one of the things holding you back from where you want to go dietarily with a low carb or keto diet. So a couple of things that I can tell you. You are not wasting money by throwing food away, because you know what? The money's already spent. Money ain't coming back. You bought, it's not like, oh, if I don't finish these last 2 bites of chicken, I get a few dollars back. Or like, you know what I mean? If the money is already spent, whether you finish all the food or not, you're not saving any money. It's already gone, okay? The other thing is, and this is going to blow some of your minds, I think, but you know what's really wasteful? Is throwing away a couple of, half-eaten bites. Is that wasteful, or is holding yourself back from life wasteful? Is it a waste for you not to be living life to the fullest because you're uncomfortable in your own body, because you have chronic pain, or you have fatigue, or maybe your size is hindering your mobility, or your size just hinders your ability to participate in all the things that you want to do? That's wasteful. It's wasting your vitality. It's wasting the life that you deserve. It's wasting feeling your best. It's robbing people you love of being exposed to the best of you. That's wasteful. What? Let me consult my notes here again. What is wasteful is you feeling limited, is you having a smaller life than the one you could have. What's wasteful is you having type 2 diabetes and all the stuff you have to deal with that. What's wasteful is being on a ton of medication. How many of those little medication jars are you using every month? And look, sometimes we just need medication. I take thyroid medicine, right? Keto's not helping with that. Sometimes we need meds, but maybe we need as few meds as possible instead of, 10, 12, 15 meds that I see some people on. What's wasteful is you having a limited life because of problems that are caused entirely by diet. What's wasteful is you beating yourself up for having one more day of overeating. What's wasteful is you having a self-beatdown. What's wasteful is you spending a couple of hours self-loathing because of whatever food habits you have that are not helping you. What's wasteful is having a closet full of clothes that don't fit. Nobody seems to think that's wasteful. What's wasteful is all the time you spend looking at those clothes, berating yourself for not fitting into them. What's really wasteful is all the time you spend wishing and hoping that things were different. Stop wishing and hoping and get going. I did a video not long ago that there were 100 days left in the year. Well, tick, 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 tick. There's not 100 days left in the year anymore, but there's enough days to make something happen. Don't waste those days. What would be wasteful is you squandering the rest of the year. Don't wait until January 1st to make something happen. New year, new you is crap. I hate it. I've always hated that phrase. You could start to be a new you right now, this instant. But the only way that happens is if you, I, we, all of us start telling new stories, because the old ones are not working. And again, I want to validate all of you. I want to validate and acknowledge your experiences. Yes, of course, you have certain food behaviors because you grew up with food scarcity. Of course you have certain food behaviors because you grew up with parents telling you to clean your plate. But is that how we want to continue going forward into the future? We can acknowledge that that happened, and therefore we have been conditioned to be a certain way. We don't have to stay that way. We have agency to start conditioning ourselves in a new way. And I said start conditioning because this is not an overnight process. You're not going to undo 10 or 20 years of food history in a single day. This is a process that really is going to take time, but you first have to be aware. Just don't keep yourself stuck. Just like I said with the I'm an emotional eater video, try to stop defining yourself and classifying yourself and using it as your identity. I'm a member of the Clean Plate Club. I grew up with food scarcity. Yes, sure, you are and you did, but that doesn't mean we have to continue to cling to those identities and those behaviors and those patterns and that conditioning now, when our lives are presumably very different and we want better for ourselves. We're trying to really accomplish something with this keto thing, and we're never going to get there if we are keeping ourselves in the past. And we are the only ones keeping ourselves there. Nobody else is, I hope, nobody else is doing that to you anymore. It's all here. So yeah, good luck following a food list. Good luck following a set of prescribed rules when you still got all this stuff bouncing around. We don't need another program. We need help to get over our stuff. So I hope this video spoke to some of you out there, and What else can I say? If you need help with keto, I'm available for individual one-on-one consultations. There's a link in the notes to every video I do. I also have a Patreon. If you want to join a community of very kind, down-to-earth, non-crazy keto people, if you need support, if you just want a place to chat at least once a week, you might have 2 calls a week depending on what level of the Patreon you choose to join, but help is out there. Don't do this alone. It's a lot easier to get over some of this stuff when you can talk it through with people, and that is what my Patreon is for. So check that out. There's a link in the notes. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please hit that like button, and you know what to do. Until next time, keep the crazy out of your keto.